Good evening. Next on News 5 at 9:30, we'll tell you why a police search for 2 robbery suspects kept some Scottsdale students after school.
Also tonight, Andrea Lynch, notified early this morning she lost her school board appeal to get her job back, says she plans to fight that decision. Finally, some blue skies in California. Stu Tracy will have the weather.
And John Brixton has highlights of round 1 of the Turquoise Classic. News 5 is next at 9:30, right after the Bob Newhart Show. Tonight on News 5, there's another candidate for Arizona governor. We'll tell you who he is.
Also tonight, a Phoenix school teacher who lost her bid to get her job back says she plans to appeal that decision. And first on News 5, the search for a couple of robbery suspects.
Turley, Roger Downey, John Brixton, Stu Tracy. For Thursday, this is News 5.
Good evening. A 4.5-hour search for 2 armed robbery suspects in Scottsdale has ended tonight, and police came up empty-handed.
Police blocked off an area from Oak Street to Holly and from 66th Place to 68th Street in Scottsdale in hopes of finding the man and the woman. The 2 took an undisclosed amount of cash and a police scanner from a Radio Shack at 68th Street and Thomas Roads at about 1:30 this afternoon. While police were investigating the robbery, 2 people matching the descriptions of the suspects were spotted hiding in bushes not far from Turley School. Police asked school officials to keep students in the building while the search was underway.
The reason that we asked the school to cooperate with us is to not allow the students that live in this immediate area to wander into the area and try and get home for their own safety. And the schools cooperated fully with those efforts. Mojave School, Tonalea School, any of the schools that have students in this area asked the students to stay there until either their parents pick them up or we release the information.
A Phoenix police helicopter and 2 canine units from Tempe were called in to help in that search.
School teacher Andrea Lynch is without a job tonight, but says she may appeal her dismissal. Lynch was fired for her admitted drug use and her alleged threats of exposing other teachers who used drugs and had homosexual relations with her. The Washington School District Board, after a session lasting until almost 3 a.m., decided Lynch is unfit to return to the classroom. But tonight, her attorney says Lynch may appeal her firing to Superior Court and will definitely fight to keep her teaching certificate.
Teaching is Andrea's entire life, as she stated in her closing statement to the board, and it's extremely important that she have the opportunity to teach in the future.
News of Lynch's dismissal spread quickly through Mountain Sky Elementary School today, the school where Lynch taught 7th grade typing. Here, parents expressed relief at her dismissal.
I think that was the only thing that the school and the state could have done.
Was fire her?
Was to fire her. Yes. What else could they do? What else could they do? Terrible influence.
It's just the penalty I guess you pay for making a mistake, as sad as it is for the teacher. I hate to see that, but it's also a problem for the children too, it seems, you know. I just feel sorry about the whole thing for everybody. And
well, I think she should be fired because she committed a crime, and she should have to pay for it. I wouldn't want a teacher teaching my child, you know, when she's got a criminal record.
Lynch won't face criminal charges for selling drugs because her cooperation with police won her immunity. None of the teachers questioned at Mountain Sky School today would comment on camera, but all told News 5 they want to put the incident behind them and get on with teaching.
Proposed legislation allowing Westinghouse Corporation to build a community near Goodyear in the West Valley is drawing opposition tonight. Goodyear Mayor Chauncey Coor says the district's state representatives are misguided about the bill. Coor says the bill would give municipal powers to a private sector corporation.
And I want to respond to charges being bandied about by Senator Hal Runyon that the cities are guilty of greed, because we, and specifically Goodyear, oppose Senate Bill 1263, otherwise known as the Westinghouse Relief Bill. Senator Runyon and his cohorts, Representatives Bob Denny and Jim Ratliff, our retired colonels, are right about one thing. The key word is greed, all right, but it's not city greed, it's corporate greed.
Coors says the legislation would give numerous tax breaks and zoning relief to the company that are not enjoyed by cities and towns.
Phoenix businessman Tony Mason is officially a candidate tonight for the Democratic nomination for Arizona governor. Mason, a Governor Babbitt favorite, says he has been a lawyer, a prosecutor, and chairman of the Planning Commission and has given time and resources to civic and charitable causes. He says those activities help qualify him for governor. Mason says the Graham-Rudman law will make the job even tougher than before.
But one thing is for sure. However they finally craft that legislation, it's going to have a profound impact on the way we manage the state of Arizona. The days of big federal handouts and subsidies are coming to an end. From now on, we'll have to shape our own destiny. What we want to do in Arizona, or for Arizona, we will have to do for ourselves.
Phoenix Mayor Terry Goddard is also endorsing Mason, but one prominent labor leader says Mason probably won't get the endorsement of the Arizona AFL-CIO. Earlier this week, Dave Moss, another Phoenix businessman, made his candidacy known, but State Education Superintendent Carolyn Warner, who says she will run, has not yet made her candidacy official.
Some Californians saw something today they haven't seen for a while, and we'll tell you what that was on News 5.
Also tonight, President Reagan's Caribbean trip.
And some students play city leaders for a day.
Hello, I'm Lou Grubb. At many car dealerships, they use what they call system selling, where customers are turned over from salesperson to salesperson and manager to manager until they're so confused they end up buying something they didn't really want. The only system we have at both Lou Grubb Mitsubishi and Lou Grubb Chevrolet is a good one-on-one relationship. It may be a little old style, but that's the way we like to treat people at Lou Grubb Chevrolet and Lou Grubb Mitsubishi.
In every Walgreens pharmacy, there's an intercom that saves you time. So no matter where you travel, your current prescription records are as close as the nearest Walgreens. And intercom saves you money by reminding you of generic savings. Walgreens intercom may even help protect you from an allergic reaction. Isn't it nice there's a Walgreens nearby?
Bring your film to Walgreens one day and get color prints back the next day. 7 days a week, no extra charge, at Walgreens Photo Center.
Ray, a psychic?
You must be Ray.
Wow. So what can you tell us?
I see a friendly, honest bank. I see smiling customers. I see the name, the Arizona Bank.
The Arizona Bank?
What about us?
I see your bank with green everywhere.
Money!
Weeds.
There's no Arizona bank like the Arizona Bank.
Slow and steady progress. That's how doctors at the University of Arizona Medical Center in Tucson tonight described the condition of artificial heart patient Bernadette Cherez. The 40-year-old Cherez of Phoenix was given a mini Jarvik heart February 3rd after her own heart, damaged by influenza, failed. 4 days later, she received a human heart transplant, but when that heart failed, she received her second artificial heart. It is such medical procedures like Cherez's implant that the transplant of other organs that is the subject of discussion in Mesa tonight. We get the story from News 5's Bud Ginthart. Bud?
Good evening, Linda. Dr. Michael DeBakey, as you know, one of the pioneers in the development of the artificial heart, having performed the first successful multi-organ transplant in America 18 years ago. Well, among the dozens of surgeons from all over the state gathered here in Mesa tonight for a conference on ethics and transplants, he's considered an authority. As for the woman recovering in Tucson, now working on her second artificial heart, DeBakey feels that the criticism of Dr. Copeland about going overboard, leveled by some of his peers in the medical profession isn't necessarily warranted. His point being that as technology evolves, ethical questions about the use of a device or procedure tend to vanish.
But to some extent, that's based largely upon what might be regarded as clinical judgment and an evaluation of the benefits versus the risks, even when the risks are small. I mean, one can use procedures that can keep people alive, but one might also define that kind of prolongation of life as perhaps prolongation of death. That is certainly not the most desirable way of applying any technology or any advancement.
So Dr. DeBakey sees the Tucson case as valuable for two reasons, not only as a life extender and hopefully enhancer for Bernadette Chavez, but also as an experimental procedure that may yield invaluable, immeasurable benefits for millions of patients to come. Linda?
Will there be other meetings such as this, Bud?
It's a conference beginning tonight. It goes for 3 days, Linda, down here in Mesa. We might mention at this point that Dr. DeBakey himself has transplanted lots of organs and, in fact, had a case once where he transplanted 4 different kidneys. 1, 2, 3, 4, until one finally worked. So we can well understand the perspective of Dr. Copeland down in Tucson.
Okay, Bud, thank you. Roger.
In news outside Arizona, President Reagan told cheering crowds in Grenada today, America must give continued support to the rebels in Nicaragua. Speaking to a crowd of some 20,000 people in the capital city of St. George's, Reagan said the U.S. must help the Nicaraguan people free themselves from communist tyranny. That commitment to freedom, he said, led to the 1983 U.S. invasion of Grenada. U.S. Immigration Service Chief Alan Nelson predicts that his agency will stop 1.8 million aliens from sneaking into the country this year. But almost as many slip through. Nelson says more help is needed from Mexico to regain control of the border. A new man heads the space shuttle program tonight, Rear Admiral Richard Truly. The former shuttle commander replaces Jesse Moore, and Truly will also take over the NASA internal review of the Challenger disaster.
And tonight, Roger, South Carolina Senator Ernest Hollings wants the resignation of acting NASA Administrator William Graham. Hollings says Graham misled a congressional panel over knowledge within the space agency about engineers' objections to launching the Challenger during very cold weather. Hollings also says the investigation by the Presidential Commission is flawed by a search for technical answers when the real problem appears to be political. FDA officials advise consumers tonight to examine the outside of Gerber baby food jars very carefully for breakage. That, they say, could mean glass fragments may be hidden in the food. The FDA found no production problems at Gerber plants, but food packed in jars can be hazardous if mishandled during shipment.
The Sun Devils and the Wildcats hit the road tonight.
John Brixton has sports next on News 5.
Pontiac's got a great way to make your day, because now you can get 7.9 annual percentage rate financing on red-hot 1986 Pontiacs, 7.9% on new Fieros, Sunbirds, 2.5-liter Pontiac 6000s, Grand Prix, and Bonnevilles. So don't wait. With low 7.9% GMAC financing, you can save hundreds in finance charges on these exciting Pontiacs. Just take delivery from dealer stock by February 22nd. Hurry to Sun and Mesa, Budbeck and Scottsdale, Bob Simons in Phoenix, and Culliver in North Phoenix, your 4-star Pontiac dealers.
Here's the sound of a cold or allergy. Now listen to the new sound of relief. Dimetap was the #1 cold and allergy brand prescribed by doctors for over 20 years. Now Dimetap is available in new non-prescription formulas. 12-hour Dimetap Extend tabs relieve sneezing, stuffy runny nose, itchy eyes. 4-hour Dimetap Elixir does the same for children. Dimetap brings effective relief to you.
This weekend, Bill Rose brings you the hottest show in town.
Now, you know there's no sure way for us to fight a fire in anything over the 7th floor. Are you here to take me on or the fire?
Chief, it's out of control. We're losing it. Bring it into the line.
Paul Newman and Steve McQueen head an all-star cast in The Towering Inferno, Saturday night at 10 on TV5.
Well, the late finishers had a little bit of wind to deal with today, but otherwise a pretty good day for golf.
And that kept some of those afternoon scores down, so they reversed the field. So the guys in the afternoon get to play tomorrow morning. So we'll look for some better scores from those folks, Raj. Anyway, fourth-year pro Julie Inkster knows there's plenty of golf left, but she does feel she's ready to win, and she'll take a one-shot lead into the second round of the Samaritan Turquoise Classic. Inkster has 2 straight top 10 finishes already, and today found the hard greens much to her liking. She rolled this birdie putt in on the finishing hole to record a 5-under par 67, good for the lead.
I played real consistent. I only had 1 bogey, and I 3-putted from about 10 feet. So, you know, I just got it around. I didn't hit the ball real consistent, but I putted well and chipped well. So I'm real happy with it.
Tour rookie Michelle Bertiotti came within inches of matching Inkster's 67, but her birdie attempt at 18 just missed to the left. Rosie Jones, who at one point was 5 under par, gave one back in the late stages and finds herself 1 stroke behind. 3 others, Shelley Hamlin, Sherry Turner, and Mary Beth Zimmerman, are in a tie at 4 under 68. Defending champion Betsy King had hoped for better, but she could manage only a 1 over par 73 in the opening round. If you don't know who Jay Delsing is, you're not alone, but today his name came right to the top in the PGA's LA Open. Delsing is in his 2nd year out of UCLA, but he played like a veteran today. He put this approach shot within 6 feet of the stick to set up 1 of his 7 birdies. He finished today's round at 5 under par 67 in a tie for the lead with Dennis Trixler.
It's a nice way to start, you know. We're just going to go out tomorrow and put it in the ground and go chase it and see where it goes, you know. So just try to have a little fun and just do our best.
Valley Pro Tom Pertzer made this sandy look so easy, up and out cleanly, and the ball rolls its way right into the cup for a birdie. Pertzer at 4 under par. Both Arizona State and Arizona on the road playing in the Pacific Northwest at halftime. The Devils lead Oregon State by 5. A win will even ASU's Pac-10 record at 7-7, while Arizona needs a win at Oregon to move into a tie for the Pac-10 lead with Washington. A key game in the Atlantic Coast Conference as some of the top-ranked clubs were in action. Number 1, North Carolina getting bumped off by Maryland in overtime, 77-72. Another upset is Michigan lost at home to Michigan State. It was Bradley over Drake easily, and Indiana's taken over the Big Ten lead with that win at Illinois. In the NBA tonight, Detroit was a basket better than Cleveland. Milwaukee has now won 7 in a row. Other games, Denver trying to hold off Boston in the 4th period, and Portland and Chicago, they couldn't land at O'Hare. It was too foggy. They'll play that game tomorrow. Pitcher Oral Hershiser has been in the majors just 2 years, but today he became a millionaire. The Dodgers right-hander won his salary arbitration case, with the arbitrator deciding he was well worth more than the $600,000 the Dodgers were offering. Last season, Hershiser compiled a 19-3 record with a .203 earned run average. Chris Everett-Lloyd will be going for yet another title. She beat Kathy Rinaldi in the semis of the International Players Championship, and her opponent will be Steffi Graf, the 16-year-old West German who gave Helena Sakova a tennis lesson this afternoon. Graf in the near court gave up only 3 games, needed just 50 minutes to win the semifinal in straight sets, 6-2 and 6-1.
16.
That's
it. Move over Chris.
They're all young. Did you notice all these people he had on the
golf people, the tennis people.
Well, the cleanup in California begins.
Stu Tracy has the latest weather next on News 5.
She's the mystery.
I don't care where you come from. Alaska will get you. It'll make you feel like a kid again.
Alaska is the story that my father told of swift rivers running with salmon and gold. Alaska is so many things I have never known. Alaska is the warming sun calling me home. She is the mystery that I will never tame. She is Alaska, Alaska. Alaska is her name.
There's only one way to get the story, and that's to get up to Alaska and discover it for yourself.
Alaska.
It absolutely ends this Saturday. Courtesy Chevrolet's Courtesy Days. Saturday is your last chance to take advantage of the tremendous savings you'll find on every new and used car, truck, or RV on Courtesy's lot. The selection's still great, and your savings are clearly marked on every model. And remember, 7.9% financing on selected 86s also ends this Saturday. So don't wait. Take advantage of financing and savings that may never happen again. Now during Courtesy Days at Courtesy Chevrolet and RVs.
They're back to being high school students tonight, but for a while, Tempe teenagers were running city government. Today, the city council chambers were taken over temporarily by some 40 juniors and seniors from high schools all over Tempe. Each student has spent hours